Hi there, my name's Aisling and I'm a senior marketing consultant at Engagement Factory, and today I'm going to teach you 7 quick steps to not only making content but delivering it and getting engagement from it. So without further ado, let's get started. Step 1. Identify your target audience. So take a look at yourself, and I really mean take a look at yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How old are you? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are your goals personally and professionally? So once you get all the answers to these kind of questions, you've actually begun to create your own persona. So now do the same thing and think of an ideal customer. Once you've developed your own persona, essentially this is a target audience, and this is a way for you to be able to kind of figure out the type of content that you should create for all of your campaigns. But I suppose target audience sounds a bit abstract, so let's call him James. Step 2, create your customer journey. So now we're going to take James on a little bit of a trip, but before we do, we need to know where to pick him up from. So following the previous step, what you know about James, where would James usually like to hang out, and what could you do to reach him there? So let's say, for example, James has a lot on, he's got loads of projects, he's got big deadlines, but he also likes to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn to keep in touch with his network and to also communicate with his prospects. So I think this would be a really great place to introduce yourself. And that's what we call top of the funnel. And that's usually where the customer journey begins. So once you pick up James, where do you want him to go next? You need to give him a chance to really get to know and to understand what's in it for him. And that's what we call the middle of the funnel. The middle of the funnel is no longer about getting James's attention. It's about persuading him now that you have his attention. So you'll talk to James about his likes, about what his needs are, and how you can help James achieve those needs. So we know what we want to do, and we know we're going to take James, and we know the stops that will bring James on, but we need to find an appropriate mode of transport for James. Step 3, journey mapping. At this stage, we need to understand what channels we should use, how often we should contact your leads at each stage of the funnel. So you'll also have to, really investigate the kind of signs that your persona gives before moving on to the next step, and what action disqualifies certain leads or potential customers, and therefore removing them out of the journey. For example, if James doesn't reply to your emails, please don't be that clingy company who sends out another valued customer email. Take him out of the journey and respect his wishes. However, if James does respond to your content, for example, he clicks on an email and then it goes to your pricing page on your website, then you have a winner. And that's what we call journey mapping. Step 4, content mapping. So remember we talked about the top, the middle, and the bottom of the funnel. So now we're going to assign different types of content to those parts that are most relevant to James. So the idea here is to contact James on LinkedIn. So ask yourself, what's the kind of mindset that James is in when he's on LinkedIn? What kind of commitment is he willing to give you and your brand? How much time, how much energy, and what does he do at each stage? So what we're saying is we don't usually propose to someone that you've only just met. So the more content they see, the further down the funnel they will go. The more commitment and interest they're likely to have with your brand. So the middle of the funnel is where you kind of start to get a little bit more serious. You introduce longer content with a little bit more detail. So finally, when you and James have taken the plunge, you can ask him the big question: will you be my customer? Ladies and gentlemen, marketers and sales guys, this is where the magic happens. Step 5, content creation. So once we've everything mapped out, this is the time to create highly personalized content. So thankfully there's tons of content that you can use. You can spice up your campaigns depending on your objective. So for example, infographics, social posts are the perfect at the awareness stage. They're easily consumable, they're quick to create, and they're usually short time span. However, white papers and ebooks and stat sheets are definitely more detailed. They definitely, allow for your customers or prospects to give more attention. But usually if those potential customers are engaging with that kind of content, we know that they're engaged, we know that they have an interest, and usually they're at the bottom of the funnel at this stage. So you've created your Shakespearean equivalent of a social media post, and a blog post Hemingway would be most proud of. But we have to do a little bit more. So I suppose this is a trigger warning. You can create the best content in the world, but the only way to get it out there is to promote it. Promoting your content is just as important as creating your content in the first place. It's important to use multiple channels that your persona are most likely to engage with, how to communicate with them efficiently and the ways that they want to be spoken to. So kind of taking a step back into who James is, what he likes. We know he likes LinkedIn. So what a coincidence it would be if our blog post was recommended to him. Of course, you need to know what's working and what's not working. And I suppose I don't have to tell you how important it is that you should be sending relevant content as opposed to pushing your customers away. Step 7, measurement. So measurement is crucial, so important. And there's so many tools that we all have today that you can easily access and really understand how your campaigns and how your content is performing. So you should be looking for things such as click-through rates, unique website visits, how people are engaging with your landing pages, and really true improvement comes from analysing your data. Ask questions like, do you know where the customer is falling out of the journey? So what piece of content are they engaging mostly with? What's kind of deciding their next step? Where do most leads come from? That's a really important one. And is your conversion rate healthy? So really good reporting tools and measurement will definitely answer all of these questions. So that's our 7 steps to content marketing, and we hope you found it useful today. Click on the link below to download our Funnel Marketing Jumpstarter Guide to start creating your own content that works.